Okay, I'm about to make pumpkin spice latte brownies. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 cup of flour to my bowl. One cup of flour. Then I'm going to add 1/4 of a cup of fresh of powdered Hershey's cocoa. Then I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Then I'm going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. Then I'm going to add 1 cup of Domino sugar. Then I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of espresso powder. And with espresso powder, what I did was I took fresh coffee beans. I took my fresh coffee beans, normal caffeinated coffee, and I ground them up with my coffee grinder. That's how I got espresso powder. So 1 tablespoon of espresso powder. Then I'm just going to incorporate my ingredients. And once everything is incorporated, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. Half of a cup of vegetable oil. Half of a cup of vegetable oil. And 2 eggs. And 2 eggs. Then I'm just going to break the yolks. and mix everything together. But I'm going to switch it to, I'm going to use my paddle. And I'm just going to mix everything together. Just going to whisk everything together. Mix everything together with my paddle. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take half my batter. My dish is pretty beat up. I've used it a lot of times. I'm going to take half my batter and I'm going to spread it across my dish in a really thin layer. You know what? I'm gonna use a little bit of parchment paper. I'm gonna use a little bit of parchment paper on this. Use a little bit of parchment paper on it. So I'm going to take half my batter and I'm going to spread it evenly and thinly. Spread it very evenly and very thinly across the bottom of the pan. So it's like an even coat across the bottom of the pan. Very thin and very evenly. Spread it across the bottom of the pan. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. And I'm gonna set my batter aside, my chocolate batter. Set my chocolate batter aside. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take another bowl and I'm gonna add 1 cup of flour to this bowl. I'm gonna add 1 cup of flour to this bowl. Then I'm going to add 1 cup of sugar. Then I'm gonna add 1 cup of sugar. Then I'm gonna add half a teaspoon of salt. Half a teaspoon of salt. And 1 tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice. McCormick's pumpkin pie spice. One tablespoon of McCormick's pumpkin pie spice. Then I'm going to whisk everything together. Make sure everything gets incorporated. Then to this, I'm going to add 1 cup of Libby's canned pumpkin. Pure canned pumpkin. But before I add it, I'm going to add another 1/4. I'm going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder. One-fourth of a teaspoon of baking powder, or baking soda. 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, I should say. Sorry. And then now I'm gonna add my cup of canned pumpkin. But no, before I add my canned pumpkin, I'm gonna add 2 eggs, 2 more eggs. Before I add my canned pumpkin. Or no, I'll add my canned pumpkin first. So I'm gonna add 1 cup of canned pumpkin. Okay, I'm gonna add 1 cup of canned pumpkin. I'll make sure I pack that down tight. Okay, 1 cup of canned pumpkin. Cup of canned pumpkin, and then I'm going to add 2 eggs. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to break my yolks. And I'm going to mix everything in. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rest of my batter. Make sure there's no holes in it. See, there's a little hole right here. There's a little hole right there just filling that gap. Make sure there's no gaps in my batter. Then I'm going to pour the rest of my batter. I'm going to pour this batter on top of this one. Pour my pumpkin batter on top of them. Then I'm just going to evenly divide it so that I don't see the chocolate anymore. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rest of my cocoa batter and I'm going to add them about 1 tablespoon at a time. I'm going to add this as a third layer, basically, over my batter. One tablespoon at a time. Add this as a third layer. 1 tablespoon at a time. Add it in clumps. At 1 tablespoon at a time. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sharp knife. I'm going to take a sharp knife and I'm going to make a marble pattern. The sharp knife kind of cuts up it allows me to make the marble pattern. That I'm trying to make. All right, and that's my marble pattern. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in the oven that has been preheated for 350 degrees for 30 minutes. Put it right in my oven for 30 minutes. And that's what you want. That's your pumpkin spice latte muffins.